Welcome to Ask. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. If you haven't already, it really helps. Thanks.
Worse than bad, truly. I understand the need for ICE. It's been around for a long time. We have to do some controlling of the issue. But the new practice is to hire people off the street, offer them big salaries, attracts people that may be there for the wrong reasons. I would say some of those ICE agents literally are thugs.
I think there are people who are not questioning what they're doing, and their moral compass is just not engaged. Bad people is such a general way of saying they just need to really think of what they're doing, how they're impacting people's lives, and what this country represents, and how we are a nation of immigrants.
I think there is a necessary job that ICE agents are doing. I don't think it's a great job right now. As they're currently doing it. I think that there are not necessarily intrinsically bad people, but I think there are people who are part of that organization who are not there for great reasons. I mean, I think there are people who might be motivated to be there because, hey, I get paid to grab people off the street, or I get paid to be part of the deportation process. That I think that's not fabulous. So are they morally bad people? Not necessarily, but are they motivated by some really bad reasons? Yeah. So that's where I stand.
ICE agents are people that are victims of capitalism and are taking advantage of an opportunity to allow themselves the ability to live out the things that they've dreamed about and get paid.
In general, yes, I would say yes, I do, because of what the whole ICE effort is nowadays. It's clearly not about enforcing some reasonable immigration policy. It's rather completely racist effort to make the country into a white nationalist country. And if people are unaware of that, they should become aware of it. And so I think it's just not a good enough excuse to participate in that sort of activity and just kind of remain blissfully ignorant. Too many people throughout history have done that. You know, the Nazi regime is a good example. And so, yes, I think it's bad. They're bad.
That's a troubling one, because what are we going to do? Arm ourselves and go out and create chaos in the streets? I don't think that's appropriate. Yet we have to do something to stop this, and we have to pressure the government somehow. I mean, if we can all organize and really work through the government, if we could carry that out, if we could find a way to do it, to have them check what they're doing, check it out, reduce the kinds of activities that they're engaged in, which truly are inhuman. I mean, the way they treat, I've watched some of these videos. They knock people on the ground, they beat them, children, old people. One woman died during one of these arrests. So yeah, something's got to be done.
I totally believe I should be resisted, and in completely nonviolent ways. I am a proponent of complete nonviolence and just getting more people out and involved and if more people in this country took action and followed their beliefs, I believe that ICE would not be doing what they're doing, because it's only a small minority of people who really want them to do what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I think ICE should be resisted as it's overstepping boundaries. So, for example, if ICE comes on my property and they have no judicial warrants and no legal reason to be on my property, yes, I'm going to resist that. I'm going to protest. I'm going to argue. I'm going to say, you're not welcome here. Absolutely. To me, 100%, like, I don't have to have people on my property if they don't have a legal warrant to come in without my invitation. What's happening in various communities, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, now Chicago, even here in Eugene, yeah, I think that there's clear judicial overreach, or not judicial, sorry, there's overreach that's happening on the part of ICE agents. And I support people who are exercising their rights as citizens to protest that. So if they're going and they're protesting at a place where ICE deploys, or they're filming and they're protesting as arrests happen, I think people have a right to do that and should do that if that is how they feel about it, absolutely.
ICE definitely needs to be resisted because they are unidentified people that are not able to be held accountable for the actions that they're doing. In order to resist them, it comes to a diversity of tactics that people are comfortable with. And the biggest thing that I advocate for is prevention and not intervention. So preventing them from being able to collect people will do greater good than intervening as they are collecting people.
Yes, definitely ICE should be resisted in all the legal ways that we can, and nonviolent as well. But for starters, I think at a state level, we should try to pass laws that make it illegal, unlawful for any law enforcement to be wearing masks, to be not identifying themselves unless they have some sort of health reason, that's a justifiable health reason. Beyond that, they shouldn't be doing it, because it's just, what's the purpose of that? Is to create terror, and that's an illegitimate purpose of ICE. And so, yeah, I think we should try and have laws, develop laws. We should try to embarrass them to the extent we can, and we can do that. We can just stand there and shame them, and some people won't be shamed, but some will, and I think that'll help. That could help if they start encountering just hundreds of people everywhere they go that are shaming them. Maybe we'll have a good positive impact. So that's another thing we could do.
I don't know what else to call it. Yes, that is kidnapping. If you can't identify yourself, show your credentials. Explain to people who you are, why you're doing it, and why it's important, and try to convince them to accompany you. They're cruel, and they are definitely kidnapping.
I really believe that is a very wrong thing to be doing without acknowledging who they are. It's terrifying. I think that right now it's people who have a skin color that's different than mine, but it could be me just for saying what I'm saying in this video. I believe that it is wrong. I believe they need to unmask and have their names and what agency they're from. I think that's our rights as citizens.
Yes, I do. I do for various reasons. So for one thing, people doing this job, if what you're doing is you're going into a place of business, you are, on the sidewalk and you're arresting someone and you're taking them away, there's a power in that, and there's accountability that needs to go along with that. And so you need to have your face visible, your badge number visible. Second, right, anybody can wear a uniform and say anything. So especially like as a woman, I have to be always aware of my surroundings. I have to be cautious. And if someone comes up to me and they've got their face hidden, they won't tell me who they are, I don't have any reason to trust them. In fact, I have a reason to assume that they mean me harm. So that's another part of it too. If this organization wants to be legitimate, then they need to show that they're legitimate by not hiding. Anyone who's hiding, especially if you're a woman, you just assume that they have bad intent towards you. So if you're legitimate, show it.
Yes, because it is required by law that law enforcement officers are to be identifiable in order for accountability. And since they are not identifiable, there is no accountability that can be had in the future when something goes wrong. And if it continues, it breaks the trust of the public. So between not being able to be held accountable and breaking the trust of the community, there is no positive enforcement that they could potentially make ever.
Well, I don't know technically if it's kidnapping or not, but I know it's wrong. It's immoral, and it is completely unnecessary unless what you're trying to do is you're trying to terrorize people and you're trying to create a climate of terror within communities. If that's what your goal is, then okay, then that's the way to do it. But that's an inappropriate, illegitimate goal. And so, yeah, they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be wearing masks unless they have to for health reason or something like that. But other than that, it should be totally disallowed. Yeah.
A lot of people nowadays are ostracizing ICE agents on the media, on different reels and stuff. Many people are. People that in the past I would not have expected to step forward to argue for the rights of immigrants. I think people are upset with the way it's being done, and we need to stand against it. We need to stop it.
Yeah, I believe they're really doing something that is not representative of our country's values, and I am just so embarrassed and ashamed at the recruiting policies now that there's these $50,000 starting bonuses, and it's unconscionable what's happening with ICE in our country, and it is just needs to be stopped.
On my worst days when I'm so frustrated, absolutely. At the end of the day, though, what's that going to accomplish? You're going to have a group of people who are going to feel like they don't belong, right? Or angry because they're being kicked out. So there's a part of me that's like, yeah, let's bring it. Let's kick these people out. Let's get rid of them. Let's make them feel the pain. But I think, honestly, we need to hold people accountable. We need to hold people accountable for their actions. So if they're doing things extrajudicially without warrants, if they're violating laws, hold them accountable. It's not ostracism, it's accountability.
I would like ICE agents to not exist. The existence of ICE implies that there is a criminal side to trying to better your life. When in all cases, immigration is a civil issue, not a legal issue. So the existence of ICE is another layer of enforcement that should already be handled by local law enforcement.
Yes, yeah, I think I already said that. I think that's one strategy we can use amongst others But there may be some ICE agents that would respond to that and maybe think twice, about what they're doing, and maybe become better informed of what they're doing. Ideally, some of them would stop, participating. So yes, I think it's a helpful strategy, and it's not going to work for a lot of people, but even if we get some, then yes, I think. And what do we have to lose?
If I were in charge, I would bring together a group of people who are involved who are immigrants, who are involved with hiring immigrants, who have a history of activism with immigrants, and people who care about immigration and creating a system that works and that is fair. I would bring together a panel, have long hours of discussions, and try to come up with a plan to decide what to do with ICE, how to turn ICE, if possible, into an organization or an entity that works for people, that works for our country, but that are not a bunch of thugs kidnapping people.
Well, as we all know, immigration is going to be a continuing dilemma throughout the world because of climate change and income inequality in countries. So as I would find the greatest thinkers and gather together and try to find a solution, because immigration is inevitable. My grandparents were immigrants from Northern Europe, and so it's just going to get more and more of a pressing issue. And so I would stop what's happening right now immediately and work to find a solution.
I would hold them accountable, 100%. Like, it would be pulling people in and saying, okay, we're not going to hide our faces. We're not going to hide our badges. We are going to comply with laws. We are going to operate in this way. And then again, you hold people accountable who violate that. You don't hire people who don't show that they can commit to that. So it's hard. You're going to fire people. You're going to have people probably potentially being in jail because you're going to say, I'm going to turn you over to law enforcement if you can't abide by, this is how we go about our jobs. So really putting back in, I know I keep talking about accountability, but that's what's missing here, is no one is holding these folks accountable to do the job in the way that they're supposed to do it. Like, just the fact that you've got an organization where people are actively hiding their faces, not giving names, shoving people, it's out of control. Like, that's in no way, any way acceptable. And you need to get that reined back in, and a culture of not authority, well, there is some authority there, but a culture of, like, we will be accountable and we will do our jobs in the right way.
If it were in my purview, I would ensure that ICE doesn't exist, to the extent of making it to where every person that has volunteered to sign up for this position is adjudicated for any misconduct that they did, in order to prove to the public that accountability is possible even when it seems improbable.
If I were in charge, I would immediately stop ICE from engaging in the activities it's doing now. I would stop the kind of Gestapo-type tactics that they're using, wearing masks, driving around unmarked cars, not identifying themselves, tackling people, not giving people a chance to not giving them due process, and so I'd stop that completely, immediately, and probably have them do nothing until we can get a set of goals and strategies to enforce a reasonable, logical immigration policy. And by that I mean sure, to keep out, bad actors, or to dispel bad actors from, the country. But to allow a reasonable number of people to come in and meet the economic needs of the country, because they are serving a very valuable purpose, and stopping that is it's ludicrous. So anyway, that's what I would do.
Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment and share to help be part of a larger conversation. See you again soon. Bye.